This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.
It's the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup, and after last week's entertainment, Week 10 has plenty of living up to do. Good news then that 3 Ultimate Pool pros are in action with talented friends, and we should be in for another cracker. First up, it's Scotland's finest Scot Gillespie. The reigning Blackball world champion is looking to hit his straps with Ultimate Pool and has shown signs of a return to form this year. He's brought along a friend too, as the snooker influx continues on the small table with former Crucible qualifier Jamie Burnett. Elsewhere, Pro Series finalist from this year and fellow Supreme Series champion Wharne is in action. The Whacker has had a really good season and once again teamed with Indian national champion Govey Gill to take on the Pairs Cup. Dan Eaton-Lees is the first of 2 Ultimate Pool tournaments this week. He's got the Masters on Wednesday, but the pairs to navigate tonight, and he's going to do it with the help of his good pal Darlaston's own Dan Bailey. And last but not least, a couple of young guns looking to make an impact in a couple of former junior champions, Joe Nolte and Ross Smith. It's the Pairs Cup, Week 10.
A great lineup then. On to our first match. Bailey and Eaton-Lees versus Nolte and Smith.
And Del Boy has got a fantastic break. He didn't hit that anywhere near as well as he can. And wouldn't you just know it, the split is absolutely perfect. Totally miscued this, believe it or not. There you see it. Should have been straightened off one way, almost straightened off the other for good measure. Cue ball stays up, and look at these.
Well, is that a sign it could be their night? I mean, how's that cue ball not gone in off? And look at the split. Incredible. A Scotch frame here, as always, to start the matches off, and this is very much a sort of pro and challenger partnership. Dan will be the sort of, Dan Eaton-Lees that is, he's the pro, he'll be the sort of leader of this partnership if you like.
Yeah, and a really quality player is Dan Eaton-Lees. We saw in the Champions League just how well he can play, put in a really dominant performance in that competition to win his group. I remember the conversation was sort of centred when he was in that Champions League group. I remember he took down Ronan McCarthy in that same group. Is that his game is absolutely built for these Monday night sort of rock'em sock'em entertainment style. You know, anything can happen. You're all about getting on a bit of a run. And you say the same for the guy we were talking about a little bit earlier in Wharne. Their styles are absolutely made to flow one frame after the other and just take the game away from the opponent in the blink of an eye at the end of the night.
Yeah, I think Dan Eaton-Lees in particular, he's got such a great game that it almost looks like this is his stage. This is where he's going to shine.
And Dan Bailey does a simple job and rolls the 8-ball in.
Well, this has a similar feel to Dan Eaton-Lees' break. Okay, the cue ball may not have gone close, but I don't think he caught these particularly well. Yet the split is a good one. Let's have a rewatch of this. No, I'm maybe doing him a disservice. Thought he caught that shade on the thin side, but he actually caught him okay.
Hand on the table cut break. It's a useful strategy, I think, we're going to go with in the last few weeks. We've seen it's plenty on the Players' Championships over the weekend events. This table, it feels like, is almost spring-loaded from the break at times. Don't need to absolutely power that cue ball. And I mean, look at the split from what didn't look to be the hardest hit cut break by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, they almost just pinged open nicely rather than flying around and coming back in clusters. And it's a really nice split. This is a lovely way to get your first frame on TV going. An opportunity just to roll through a fairly comfortable break clearance, although nothing will feel that comfortable when it's your first crack at it.
Yeah, and if it's your first crack at watching the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup on the Monday nights, we'll let you know what's happening. We're playing English 8-ball, international 8-ball rules. Pick your colour, set, bottom, and pot the 8-ball. It's pairs frames, followed by 2 pairs of singles, as each of the pairs play each other. And then followed by a pairs frame in the 4th, 2 singles and a pairs frame if required for a decider in the 7th. So it is races to 4, best of 7, or a race down to 20 minutes on the clock. If it gets all the way to 0 from 20, match is done, and we'll take the scoreline as it is then. It quite often leads to some dramatic finishes. All the pairs will play each other tonight, round-robin format. Whoever's top of the league at the end will advance through.
We join the 3rd frame halfway through with Dan Bailey at the table.
Always say when there's one nearest the cushion, it's all about landing nicely on it. Once you get on it, you shouldn't miss it. And could play for it now, could play for it last. Depends on what he wants to do with the 8-ball. I want to get rid of it as early as possible. Looks like he's straight enough here just to top through. He might be just a roll too high, just by the body language. Yeah, he was. You see how it's tracking towards that red on the cushion. So 2 good positional shots now required.
Oh, he's okay. But I tell you what, Dan Bailey would love to fire at the flux capacitor and go back in time a couple of shots there. He's in all kinds of trouble. God, that was so tough. And that's exactly what you were talking about. It needn't have been.
Yeah, it's all about that cue ball control and the choices you make. I don't mind leaving it. It wasn't a tricky ball, but you got to land on it nicely, and he wasn't able to do that. That should cost him the frame.
Ross Smith gets the job done.
And that would be enough for Nolte and Smith as they ran the clock down in a tactical 4th frame. On to our second game then, and it is Gillespie and Burnett versus Wharne and Gill.
When he's on Rob Wharne, he is so entertaining to watch. That isn't going to be dry. He deserved the last ball roll in there. Just watch this. You'd struggle to hit a front ball break better than this. The cue ball zips straight up the middle of the table. Packle opens up. And he very nearly got absolutely nothing. You can see how much he's watching that top corner pocket. He's willing it to go in.
His reaction there is fantastic, because you can tell exactly what he's thinking without him giving away anything. Absolutely incredible. You're absolutely right. He deserved the ball off the break, and that's what he's got in the end. And in the end, it's actually a reasonable opportunity here on Reds.
Yeah, it really is. Great opportunity
actually,
here.
When you relook at it, it's more than a reasonable opportunity. Oh dear, don't miss the first ball though. The reason it's actually interesting there, because the reason he's missed the first ball is because he's worried about the cue ball there. He thinks if he was making it centre pocket, he's going to come too low, and therefore put a bit of side on and throws it wide and miss it thin. And actually, if he potted it on the straighter side of the pocket, then he probably would have held it up enough anyway. So same deal here for Scott and Jamie. I would absolutely love to have them mic'd up tonight, although I probably would only understand about 50% of the words they're saying. But did a little bit of filming with them earlier on this afternoon, and they were so much fun to work with.
That's a generous percentage you're giving yourself there, sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to be diplomatic. It's probably more like 10%.
Well, Scott Gillespie really was superb in that Players' Championship weekend, and it was really only a special performance from Gareth Potts which sort of stood in his way. I mean, when you come out of a weekend event like that, and Gareth Potts says it's probably the best I've ever played, and then if you've Scot Gillespie thinking, well, fair enough then.
He wasn't far behind. That's the point there. He was very, very close to pushing him all the way to a 6-red shootout in that group final. You know, and then you've got one of the greats of all time saying, it's one of the best performances of my life, and you're that close to him. It tells you how well Scot played. And what we've seen from Scot over, you know, he's sort of used the term in his interview there post-COVID, and, you know, he was flying pre-COVID. I think that's why he refers to it in that way. But since then, he's not quite been the dominant force that he was, and he's starting to pick up a lot more tournaments up in Scotland over the last few months, but that hasn't translated to good results on the Pro Series or with Ultimate Pool.
It's starting to come together though, isn't it? I think in 2021, pretty much all he was playing was the Ultimate Pool events. He had a lot going on off the table as well, with getting married and all the rest of it. Very busy year. But this year he's been able to dedicate a little bit more time to the game. He's played in a lot more tournaments. He's a little bit, he sort of says himself, he's not the world's biggest practicer, he's a tournament player, he's a match player. So when he's flying in tournaments, he'll feel that's all he needs to keep himself ticking over, keep the oil topped up.
The next 2 frames were shared with break clearances from Gillespie and Wharne.
To get us back going, 8 minutes and change remaining. Still in the balance, courtesy of that finish from Rob Wharne.
That is how Scot Gillespie was breaking all the way through the Sunday of the Players' Championship that we've already talked about, where he lost out to Gareth. It was just blow for blow, with massive breaks like this between the two of them. It really was an exhibition of breaking, and he's straight on it today with his first break.
Looks like yellows is the shout from Scot Gillespie.
Yeah, you can see the case for yellows. Red at the top of the table is the biggest problem if you go red, so I don't think it goes top right, and you can't quite get to it top left, whereas all the yellows actually have pockets.
Yeah, it just requires them to mind their work a little bit.
Yeah, assuming the yellow in the middle at the top, the one next to the red, if that passes the other yellow at the top to the corner, and I'm pretty sure it does, then this is actually a really good chance. But the key, can you get the angle you want to get on the 8-ball? It looks natural to leave the one right in the middle of the table. If it goes to the same centre pocket as he's taken this one, it looks really natural to be able to leave that ball, and then you can drift down the right-hand side of the table as we look at it. If you have to leave one right at the top, then it might be a trickier shot that needs to be played. Well, maybe it doesn't go in the left centre. They've pulled back for it into the top right corner. Or maybe they felt that the red next to it would have got in the way, so they're clearing it this way. You have to be really precise on the next 2 positional shots, next 3 positional shots, including the one down to the 8-ball, because they need to finish just past straight or just past it on the next yellow. If they finish short of it, they've got a problem. It looks like he's maybe a quarter roll short. He might be. He could rest into the red, but then the positional shot onto the 8-ball becomes trickier. The reason I say he wanted to be straight or just past it, because he wanted to leave loads of angle to be able to drift down the gap. And you can see there on the overhead, he's just a roll short of straight. Stuns it onto the top cushion. That's a really good shot there from Burnett. And now the key shot in the frame.
Yeah, this would be a really cute finish from the 2 Scots. And for all the praise that I could give them, Cute was not an adjective I thought I might use to describe Scott Gillespie and Jamie Burnett, but that is a cute little kiss from Scott Gillespie.
You could tell by his reaction, he knew he got that one wrong, way too close to the 8-ball, but a lovely little nudge.
Yeah, that'll do.
Rob Wharne won the next frame with another break clearance. On to frame 6, and Jamie Burnett at the table with a tricky chance.
That red on the right side rail looks like an enormous problem for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that choice. I'm not sure. You now, okay, you're on the next pot, but are you going to get on the next one? So you could leave a minute here, and the yellow's now actually clear. I'd rather have given him a minute and a half with no clearance on.
Well,
I just think
that was his ambition, was to do everything, and he got into the red okay, but he missed the pot. And Govey Gill with the chance, with 75 seconds remaining, to tie things up.
He's got to be aware, though. He's got to be aware. 1 minute 8. This could get away from him quickly. Not great having to go up the table and leaving that one at the bottom. I'll tell you what, for a man that needs to clear up in 48 seconds, he's fairly casual with his time around the table, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to go here, Govey.
Do you think he's lost the
Rob
match
could
clock?
help him a little bit as well, just keep him aware.
I think he's lost the match clock here, I really do. I don't think he's fully aware of how long he's got left. We've seen it happen before. Now he's just stepping on it a fraction.
Has he timed it perfectly?
He's still going to play 3 shots. I don't think he has. Look how much he's going to move the cue ball here. He's going to run out of time.
11 seconds. Can he stop that white and make 2 pots? He'll go very close. He's timed it perfectly, has he, Govey Gill? Yes, he has. What a way to end the match. It will end in a draw. Govey Gill gets his partnership out of dodge with a clearance that was right on the buzzer.
Gill and Wharne straight back in action and at the table in the opening frame versus Bailey and Eaton-Lees.
They're still hanging in there. Cross double for Rob Wharne. This goes in. Every chance. Double kiss. Nearly went in with a double kiss. It was tracking. So I'm still struggling to get over that clearance from Govey Gill, to be honest with you. That is one of the best moments we've seen in a long time out on this arena. That was incredible.
So good. Lucky, you could see what Dan Bailey was trying to do. Yellows could go. Requires a quite good opening shot and a decent clearance, but if Govey Gill nails this one down the rail, they're on. Yeah, that's a great shot.
Just a touch too straight on the yellow at the top. I wonder if he'll play for the plant. The reason I say that, can you play the plant and keep the yellow near the pocket, as in use the red to make life easier? Because there's not a big gap to get through to that yellow. I wouldn't want to play the one at the bottom to get onto the other yellow. That's
no. But also, if you play the plant, that red just becomes such a big blocker.
Well, I think that's my question is, does it become a blocker or does it push the red out the way? I think it probably does stay over, and they'll be on the next shot. Well, no, they're going for the one over the pocket. The yellow's just far enough away that makes the plant really horrible. So, yeah, that's
pretty well.
It's a really good shot. This yellow goes top right. A really, really good shot.
He skewed that really well, Govey Gill. Oh, and you always back Rob Wharne with a long shot. And I think they're okay. Has he gone a quarter of a ball too far?
Oh, the fact they've not played it yet. Oh, yeah.
Wow. So
I was wondering whether that was one that we were fooled with the camera angle, but no, that's actually a little bit horrible. It's a little bit of a stretch for a little mini swerve. It's the 8-ball's so deep in the pocket, it's not an easy one to play cushion first. And the red on the left-hand side is blocking the easy one cushion. If that red wasn't there on the left-hand side, it's unmissable.
Oh, this is tough.
He has to play this with side. This is far from natural.
Shot.
Dan Eaton-Lees won the next frame with a reverse clearance. His partner Dan Bailey is at the table with a break in frame 3.
8-ball. Oh, that was almost in from Dan Bailey. That was very nearly in. Dan Eaton-Lees knew it as well. He was almost up. Oh, that was right in. He knew it as well. Watch this 8-ball right from the gun. It is straight into that top corner pocket. You can't get closer.
Even on replay, you think it's going to go in. So it hasn't, though, but this isn't bad.
I mean,
this is
a split.
A really good split.
It's good as a golden break, really.
Yeah, 1 or 2 positional shots to play. Yeah, making both there isn't terrible. The way he's played that tells me maybe he was even trying to do that, because he wasn't going to be on the one to the top left if it stays over the pocket, and it wouldn't have been a great ball if he had as a last ball. So, yeah, I think he did try that. It's all about the angle on his last ball up to the 8-ball.
Yeah, he'll connect up pretty well.
Okay, come round 2 or 3 cushions here. That's where the window is. Wide open, quite a bit of margin for error.
Yeah. He'll back himself with this. Yeah, that's lovely. Just needs to slow up. That'll do. Perfect. Good clearance from Dan Bailey. That follows in the footsteps of Dan Eaton-Lees.
Yeah, the fact that he's saying where he said tells me they're not thinking double. They're thinking about taking the 8-ball long.
Well, he's got the angle for it now then, hasn't he? Just needs to be so careful with this.
This is a delicate pot still.
That was tough. It really was. And with 3 minutes left.
Yeah, again, this is clock play coming up here for the 2 Dans. Be tempted to take the one long by the cue ball now. I'd take that bottom right, maybe get that one out the way. Then you've got the plant, and then the reason I say you could take it long is you're taking it long whilst playing a snooker at the same time. But
oh, what have you done?
No way.
Oh, Dan.
I wasn't seeing the snooker or the safety there for me. I was seeing potting some balls.
That might be the worst shot I've ever seen Dan Eaton-Lees play.
Yeah.
That is a horror show. Such a basic error. And Rob Wharne's going to roll in the 8-ball, is he? Is he? Oh, it's a let-off. It's a huge, huge let-off. The only thing you'd say, giving cue ball in hand to Govey Gill and Rob Wharne there, is that was still an awkward finish on the yellow and then the 8-ball.
Yeah, get potting here. Take your time on every single shot and get potting. You've got 1 positional shot to play.
Oh, he's still back whacker.
You would.
That, though.
He couldn't get that much better on it. Key shot now for Dan Bailey. If this goes in along the top cushion, you can't see them failing from here. Just forget the match clock in this situation now. Make the shot, win the frame.
Oh, just don't miss.
Don't miss, yeah, that's it. This is what I thought they'd do previously. There was nothing in the sort of way of the clearance. They could have taken the tricky ball with freedom, and then if that goes in, everything else is in the open. So I was surprised to see the snooker. Although I'm a big fan of playing, the snooker and running the clock down, but sometimes, it's not. Sometimes they're all there.
Just don't miss. Rob Wharne's still thinking it over. I mean, they are as unmissable a 3 balls left as you could hope for. But there's going to be pressure on this last red.
Dan's going to want to get as close as possible to it. Well, decided to take his medicine. I thought he might try and be a bit more expansive, just so that he wasn't giving his partner the pressure shot. But
punched home with authority. Fair play, Dan Bailey.
He'll feel better for that.
Dan Eaton-Lees to complete the job. Oh, that's an escape.
That frame would prove to be pivotal as the clock ran out in the next frame to give Dan Bailey and Dan Eaton-Lees the win. On to match 4, where the opening 2 frames between Gillespie and Burnett and Nolte and Smith were shared. We joined Jamie at the table in frame 3.
What's Jamie taking on here?
I think is he thinking lost a turn? Needs to hide the other reds.
He's got to play good cue ball here.
I think you can clip the other red at the bottom in. Yellow's slightly guarded, but other than, sorry, the 8-ball slightly guarded, but everything else goes.
Oh, he's dangled the carrot, hasn't he?
Just wondering where the natural path when you pot this goes. Does it do anything with the 8-ball, or is it coming up away from it? Oh, lovely.
That will do.
It looked like the natural was going to go on the underside of it, and he just widens it, and catching it that way was really good, but he's not out of the woods yet because this is only a thin clip in, or he has to take the one at the bottom of the table and play a really good cue ball. Whichever way he goes is not nice.
I think he's just discussed that.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't like his options. I prefer the one at the bottom, to be honest with you, because it's easier cue ball to control.
Oh, he's judged this well.
That's what I didn't like about the shot. It just felt like there wasn't the one at the bottom. If you knock it in, you felt like you could come on and off the side cushion and have more control onto this last one.
I think he was targeting that yellow though with the cannon, and that was relatively controllable.
Yeah, just wanted a bit full of contact, but now it's a really tough pot.
Yeah, how do you like these? Not to be. So maybe a let-off for Jamie Burnett, who played the safety but didn't get it safe. As a former snooker player, he knows that's the #1 rule.
Where's the cue ball? It's okay. It's okay. Tell you what, there's some tension out there in this frame, isn't there?
Not big time.
I feel
The
like
match clock has dwindled massively.
Yeah, I feel like everybody out there knows how pivotal this frame is.
Yeah, played that one nice. A little bit too much angle, he's okay. Yeah, judged it okay. He'd love this to be a super easy finish. He should have made to work a little bit harder than he would have loved. He's still fine. It's for 2-1 then with 4 minutes and 30-ish seconds to go. Knocks the 8-ball in. And for the first time in the night, Joe Nolte and Ross Smith trail.
Yeah, that's good. At least you're opening it up. You're making it trickier to lay the snooker. They need to find a way of getting to that red over the top right-hand corner pocket for me.
Oh, they might have a way here. Oh, they weren't far off. Didn't think they'd be able to get through that gap. I mean, that was a really difficult shot. You saw how much side he had to play it with, but it meant it was on.
Yeah, it was one of those that yellow in the middle of the table actually looked like it was in the way. I think he had to get so close to it.
That's a better shot. So clock's going to be paused here, I believe.
I always find this rule
Is that the message
strange.
sent across?
Yeah, they're pausing the clock because they just want to have a look to see if it's touching ball, but this is a rule that always confuses me because it doesn't make any difference to their shot whether it's touching ball or not. If it is touching both balls, they're in trouble here because they actually are in an impossible situation because the only line they can come out would be hitting the yellow. Now, there's such a thing in pool of the impossible snooker that if you can't get out of it, you end up in a stalemate situation. But technically, there's a big enough gap to get it out here, but they actually can't get out. It's the impossible possible shot, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No.
That was absolutely impossible to get out of that snooker, but it isn't classed as an...
In theory, it's possible.
Because there is enough of a gap, you could manipulate the cue ball to avoid everything else, but they could not get out of that gap. It's a strange one. That does not come up very often.
Yeah, what a snooker Scot Gillespie's laid there. Wicked snooker. And the job's been done. They've played it out, they've learnt their lesson from match one, and Scot Gillespie and Jamie Burnett have snuck out the back door. They've won it. Joe Nolte and Ross Smith back at the table. They've just been beaten by Scot Gillespie and Jamie Burnett. Govey Gill and Rob Wharne are also back, and after all their exploits tonight, Govey Gill and Rob Wharne, following that result there for Scot Gillespie and Jamie Burnett, are now out, I can tell you. Govey Gill and Rob Wharne, their race is done. Joe Nolte and Ross Smith, they're still in the night. They need to win. And if they win, they will go up to 4 points. And then they are going to be in a 6-red shootout if 2 of the 3 possible results go their way in the last match of the night, which is going to be Jamie Burnett and Scot Gillespie taking on Bailey and Eaton-Lees. The only pair really with... They're the only pairs with the night in their hands. Burnett and Gillespie and Bailey and Eaton-Lees know that if they win, they're at worst going to have a 6-red shootout. Burnett and Gillespie know if they win, they're out. They're home free. They're back on the motorway, back up to Scotland, happy as Larry.
Well, and they'll both know, I guess, by the time they get to play, which will be an interesting point. They'll either know, the 2 Dans will know whether their win is for a 6-red shootout or whether it's for qualification. A lot depends on what happens here.
Oh, it all depends on what happens.
Well, of course
here.
It does, yeah.
If Joe Nolte and Ross Smith get a win, then they are in with a shout. And they've done brilliantly to get this far. I've been really impressed with the 2 young men. Played well. And they're only a vicious Scot Gillespie snooker away from potentially getting a chance to draw the last match as well. So we'll just offer some clarification on the rule for those who might still be struggling to follow what happened at the end of our last match there. Scot Gillespie laying a snooker with, I mean, it was a devilishly tough snooker. But because Joe Nolte could play away and hit a cushion, in theory, he's able to get out of it. So it's not an impossible snooker, despite the fact that he could have been stood there until next Monday and not made a contact with a red and hit a cushion. So it's a little quirk of the rules. Ross Smith rolls in the 8 ball to go 1-0 up. If they win, as if Scot Gillespie and Jamie Burnett also win. Okay, are we following? Good.
Just about.
Good. Excellent.
It's always the same. Whenever there's a group like this,
we are notoriously bad at this.
Whenever there's a draw in a group as well, and when it's notoriously tight like it is here, then it just gets, it's all up for grabs, isn't it? But
apologies at home if I'm sort of teaching you to suck eggs, but I'm basing everyone else off mine and Simon's inability to add up 1, 2, and 3. So
what I liked is you're explaining the situation of the table, and you were saying everything without much confidence in your voice.
Yeah.
You were almost questioning it as you were saying it.
Zero faith.
I have faith in what you're saying.
You're an idiot. Lovely shot that from Wacker, just spins it round.
one positional shot really to play just to get onto the 8 ball. He's contemplating playing the little bump out, but it's not worth the risk. Just a little delicate hold shot here. Oh, he's going to play it. Oh, he's been rewarded. I don't think he'd have played it if he had less angle, because I think he maybe was worried about not being able to hold enough, so he decides to play it.
Yeah, really nice this from Rob Wharne. And actually, for a team that's already out after their opening 2 matches, you sort of feel a little bit for them, because I think they've, by any sort of metric, played quite well.
Yeah, it's actually a head scratcher that they are out the way it's gone so far tonight.
Yeah, drawn a defeat, but the defeat was by a hair's breadth.
Gill and Wharne won the next 2 frames to put Nolte and Smith in trouble with the time running out.
Golden break required. Cut break. The way forward for Ross Smith. Oh, he's going to get one. He's going to get one. They stay alive. They stay alive. Would you believe it? And yes, the celebration.
That's awesome. It really is. When you really need a golden break and you get one, absolutely amazing.
Get your skates on, lads.
Here we go.
Get
and
your skates on.
They are there. Get to work. They need an opening yellow here. I don't like reds. Unless the red at the bottom right goes, I don't like reds.
Well, they've only had a second to think about it. They've just got to go.
All you have to leave on the clock here is a second. You need enough time just to hit the break for a golden break, but it's all about that red to the bottom right. I don't think it's on, so he's going to have to try and maybe, if he can get above the red on the right-hand side cushion, play the red off the yellow. Yeah, that's what he tried to do.
They're not quite going to get that far. A valiant effort from Joe Nolte after a little flicker of hope from the cut break of Ross Smith. We are all set for a decider in our final match of the night. Dan Eaton-Lees and Dan Bailey versus Scot, Gillespie and Jamie Burnett. Winner goes through. Gavin Gill and Rob Wharne get a win. Excellent stuff from them. It is winner takes all in our final match of the night. Jamie Burnett and Scot Gillespie against Dan Bailey and Dan Eaton-Lees. Winner goes through. If it's a draw, it'll be these two who head through. Scot Gillespie and Jamie Burnett lead the group by a single point, so they can afford the draw if it comes to that. Dan Bailey and Dan Eaton-Lees, though, still have it in their own hands. They've just got to win, and they're into the next rounds. And they're going to get a start. Scot Gillespie hasn't offered a dry break-up yet tonight. He has now.
Having the draw makes quite a big difference to the sort of dynamic of this match.
Massive. Massive.
We see that a lot. Especially if it gets tight. We've seen quite a few matches not finished tonight. We often do in this format. And when it comes down to sort of clock management towards the end and having the draw, it almost feels like every frame you win when it gets tight towards the end counts so much more. So keep an eye on that. But for Bailey and Eaton-Lees, if they can get themselves in front, they can forget about all that, just try and get themselves to 4. They've got a chance here. Everything actually goes. Everything's in good shape here.
Yeah, they got off to a fairly inauspicious start earlier on tonight, Dan Eaton-Lees and Dan Bailey, with a defeat to Joe Nolte and Ross Smith, who have just been eliminated. But in that second match, that's when they came to life, and didn't they just come to life?
Yeah, and it's amazing. Sometimes that losing that match really... Oh, dear. Dan Bailey misses a... Okay, it wasn't a full pocket, but it wasn't a tricky pot to the top corner there.
That is a big surprise and a big let-off for Burnett and Gillespie, that.
Two reds in the bottom right-hand part of the table are going to be occupying the mind here for the Scottish boys. don't think you can pop the outside one. It looks nowhere near, to be honest. So a cannon required.
Cool, bang. Shot that is from Jamie Burnett.
Needed a cannon, got it straight away.
Ross Smith's seen enough. He's heading towards the exit door. He's played really well tonight, Ross. He can leave with his head held high, that's for sure.
Yeah, great experience for them. As I say, if they go forward with their ball careers, you never know where that experience will be useful. Didn't go their way ultimately tonight, but yeah, great to have them on the show.
From here, you'd think it should be plain enough sailing.
Yeah, it's
Or
just
is that easy.
Yeah, you could just see Scott just thinking about the 8-ball here. Which way do they want to go about it? If you could get right behind the red to the left centre and got onto the cushion, then there's a gap through to the 8-ball, but you'd have to be good on the red to do that. You could, if you wanted to get on the red below the 8-ball and sort of cannon into the yellow. They've decided to go the first way round. So bottom right corner, top right. They'd love to be straight in on the top right and then pretty close to the work as well. And then they can pick their angle on the last one. Oh, he's a long way short. Jamie's a long, long way short. That makes such a big difference. He's so far short, I think they may have made the decision to reroute and not play for the one into the left centre as last ball.
But that it means that they've got to play a really good shot off the other red.
And that's not great. The window to land on this 8-ball is tiny, and he's got to top it off the right side and then back across. He's seeing if he can just leave it on the right-hand side, but it doesn't look like there's enough room there. This has to be played very well. Well, he's going to leave it from here. I don't think the pot's on. I think it's a double.
It is a double, and it's not really all that near. So one positional shot. Mentioned in the middle of that visit, it's never quite as easy as it seems.
No, and there was a yellow there just blocking the path to the one over the right centre that was kind of causing the problems. I know the one directly above the 8-ball was the one that was the real problem, but that's what they wouldn't have moved anything or needed to if that yellow wasn't blocking the one in the middle of the table. So yeah, they just got I would have liked to have played. Oh, a little bit lucky there. I would have preferred the one to the nearest the 8-ball and cannon into the yellow above it as my last ball, because it felt like there was more margin of error that way.
Are they thinking about playing safe here? Not surprised. That shot went wrong from Dan Eaton-Lees. Oh, they left it.
Oh, have they?
Have they left it? No, you can see the kick shot being lined up. Lovely work from our camera team out there. So here we go. Oh, it's not. Oh,
no.
Wow.
No,
Oh,
wow.
you couldn't make it up.
What?
Jamie Burnett loses the frame. That's astonishing. Flukes the 8-ball, and then the cue ball ends up in. That is amazing.
That is unreal. Just unreal.
Oh, that's just incredible. And he'll get an immediate chance to recover it, because Dan Eaton-Lees breaks dry. So it'll be Scot Gillespie to the table with a chance to recover and respond. And well, if in essence Burnett and Gillespie started a frame up as the draw is good enough for them, we're back level in a way. They've got to get chasing.
Great chance this, isn't it? Everything in the open. This is exactly when you've just had what's happened happen to them. It's what you want. A nice wide open chance just to get queuing. Great player at the table. Not sure what he was looking at into the left centre. It looks simple enough just to hold this one, and then well, he was looking at passing one to the other. I thought if you roll that one through a couple of rolls and then you sort of straight left centre and then right centre and then down, but he wanted to make sure the one he's nearest to passed the other one. We've seen it slightly different order. Gets you to the same area of the table as long as you can just screw back here and avoid the yellows.
Yeah, this is the finish you want when that just happened in the first frame. As always, you've got to get to the finish line. He's been rock solid at this visit, and in this visit, as Scot Gillespie. Absolutely rock solid. Lovely shot. Oh, lovely visit, I should say, from Scot Gillespie.
Jamie Burnett and Dan Bailey were drawn into a tactical battle in frame 3. We joined Jamie Burnett at the table.
Ultimate Pool's youngest ever player, aged just 13 years of age. Amazing experience for young Justin. And was defeated by Carl Morris in that one, who played really, really well. And it was a bit of a tough lesson for young Justin in the end, but spoke to his family afterwards and they said they just loved the experience so much. It's only helped him, which is such a positive way to look at it.
Yeah, it was great to see. It really was. Hopefully that what's happening with Ultimate Pool now is getting more and more kids interested in playing in the game.
Oh, this is the key point in the frame. Can Dan Bailey pull out a pot? Yes, he can.
He needs another one. I was going to question the decision to play the loss of turn at the bottom and the way he did it for Dan, because it was a tactical battle that he wasn't in great control of, but he's got the chance to win the frame. He had the chance to win the frame.
Yep, and that chance should have gone. Had to play two tough shots back to back. Made one, didn't get the second. And with less than 2 minutes to go now, Jamie Burnett can put his team with 1 foot in the last 16. Doesn't really even need to worry too much about the clock. He's going to wait for the beeps. That should just about be it now. 2-1. 92 seconds to go. 1 minute 30 is just about enough time for a couple of quick clearances. Don't need a golden break yet. Wouldn't mind one. Dan Eaton-Lees is throwing the kitchen sink at that. and has been rewarded with an 8-ball down. And now Burnett and Gillespie can start their lap of honour. That's it now. It's horrifically unlucky that for Dan Eaton-Lees. I mean, he's howitzered that break, not been rewarded. And Burnett and Gillespie just need to pop them out. Pop the open balls, and they will say, see you later. Into the last 16 they sail. And they've probably just about deserved it.
Yeah, just about. They probably should have won the first match and they didn't. And obviously they're going to win the next 2. I was about to say interesting decision to take yellows on when there's a bad yellow on the table that doesn't go. I don't know whether Scot was trying to move it or not, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's about potting 3-4 balls. That's all you need to do. You're not worrying about a finish.
No consideration for the finish whatsoever here. And it's the slow death for the Darlaston boys. Jamie Burnett and Scot Gillespie have made it through in the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup. Delight for the pair of Glasgow boys who will take their places in the next round of the competition.
This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.